Wikipedia is the world's biggest game. As of March 8th, 2024, it contains 6,794,260 levels and is constantly being expanded with new levels over the course of time. Commonly known as wiki racing, the rules are simple. Pick 2 articles at random. One is where you start, and the other is your destination. The goal is to get to your destination by clicking the blue hyperlinks scattered across the article and reaching the destination first before the other competitors. This game offers a pretty unique experience what other games can't really achieve. When people play wiki racing, we are watching them navigate a large information network, using their mental maps of relationships in order to find the paths that connect concepts. Wiki racing has developed its own small community around this concept. You can see this in the various web and app implementations made, like the wikigame.com, wikirace.com, the wikipediagame.com, wikiraces3, and etc. But like how the game is formed, playing it on the Wikipedia site itself is usually how it's played.
Noodle!
We've got 2 choices in front of us. The dark tunnel that security guard just ran down from and then screamed and then died in, or the light tunnel where there's possibly an end to it, where it might drain to an escape so we can be scot-free and enjoy our loot. Well, which is it gonna be? Both are good options.
Wikipedia isn't the only example of links being used to make games. People have used various features on YouTube to make choose-your-own-adventure games. In the past, people used YouTube's annotation feature to create links to other videos. Later on, they used end-card links to link to other videos, which are now the primary function used to create these experiences. The most popular of these now are Markiplier's interactive fiction series, although the format has existed for quite a while. Office programs like PowerPoint have also been used to make choose-your-own-adventure games by linking objects to specific slides to create a world of branching decisions. The almost universal understanding of PowerPoint led the PowerPoint game format to grow rapidly, especially with kids in school settings. PowerPoint is an almost ubiquitous software application in schools. Teachers do not need to ask anyone's permission to use it. Once installed, it is a very robust and reliable application. This sort of transparency of use is vitally important and often overlooked by educational technologists. Now, this transparency of use speaks to the experimentation and curiosity that users desire to push a program or tool to its limits. For example, to use Wikipedia as a racing ground of concept exploration to the narrative and artistic experiences that can be created with the YouTube UI and PowerPoint programs. The idea of making, or more so, forcing games out of non-game engines are an increasingly common pattern in modern technology.
Yes. Oh. It's just stuck to hypnotism. Wait, choose one. You did it.
A saying can be made: constraint as fuel. Similar to how the early web lacked many developmental functions and libraries that exist today, limitations, whether technological or imposed by a platform's design, often become the catalyst for creativity. Stokes mentioned in her book, Creativity from Constraints, how constraints boost creativity because there are goals and obstacles already intact. Helping motivate creators to push the limits, it is also the desire to break through what was already pre-made. Along with examples previously mentioned, unorthodox games are birthed from the limitations of their platforms. There are many other now somewhat in-use concepts, much like the use of the GIF and ASCII art that have been birthed from constraints on the early web and tech. Whereas ASCII art was born out of the limitations of being only in text-based environments, GIFs were created to counteract early bandwidth limits on networks. And what's interesting is how the creators of these games are commonly and mostly unknown, because these creations are community-driven. Because of new media being so fast and just new media art in general being so ever so expandingly fast, it becomes often hard to track the creators when games are created on platforms and often used by millions. Community drive was heavily reflected in the 2004 puzzle game called Notpron. Notpron captivated a niche corner of the internet. Instead of being an average point-and-click puzzle game, it was instead a labyrinth of cryptic web-based clues and references. Now, Notpron's significance lies within the functionality of the early web browser itself. Much of the game required you to think outside of the box and use web functionalities such as, inspecting the HTML elements, looking at their URL, and other things that are normally perceived in another way. And it also expected you to edit photos outside of the game itself. Also, in contrast with earlier games such as PowerPoint games, YouTube annotation choose your own adventure games, or Wikipedia speedrunning, instead of being created from a community, Notpron is instead made by a single individual, David Muchen, but also maintains a community-oriented mindset or an aspect due to the difficulty of the puzzles themselves. Muchen once pointed out that to get to the next level, you needed to have a lot of digital competence, and that you actually have to have a lot of computer and software engineering knowledge. And this isn't usually expected out of a single individual. Now, many people may question whether this ties in with new media art or not, like how Jonathan Jones, an art critic, has mentioned how claiming everything to be art might lead nothing to being art. Games like Notpron also does not look like the typical game. However, these games can still be considered as art because it has an aspect of storytelling, it has visuals, and rules that are commonly known to art. New media art is new, and therefore foreign to many, and most are still in discovery. Art started off from changing a known medium to create something entirely new, like how chemicals were used to create the first pictures, or mirrors were used to create the first cameras. Those were all forms of art. New media artists seek to exploit the limitations of their medium of choice in order to explore avant-garde approaches to their respective media. As this sort of interactivity is still rarely seen today, it also seems evident that these games seem to be all very community-driven in aspect. Much like how many new media art pieces strive on audience participation and collaboration in order to challenge traditional notions of art and spectatorship. Just as new media artists might use outdated software or internet glitches to create thought-provoking pieces, these players embrace the quirks and limitations of platforms to craft unique experiences. This subversion overall resonates with how new media art can question the boundaries between creator and audience, and artwork and participation.
But you guys can continue to rest on Notpron. Just Google it.
On dashboard.net/Notpron.